Hello! Welcome again to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a movie that was one of my big disappointments for the past year, Prometheus. Yes, that highly anticipated sequel to, well actually it's really a prequel of the Alien franchise that a lot of us, including myself, was looking forward to. I was very disappointed. Also, let me say that this review is going to have spoilers in it, so if you're not the type who likes spoilers, you'll want to go check out some other review version of this movie at this time. So, Prometheus. Well, what can I say about it? First of all, I will say it wasn't all bad. It was just a lot bad. It was visually stunning. As a matter of fact, as far as the cinematography goes, it was probably one of the most beautifully visual movies I've seen in a while. The CGI looks great, the landscapes are stunning, the costuming, the spacesuits, the tech, it all looks gorgeous. And I will say that, you know, some of the acting was really good and, you know, some of it not quite as good. But what really destroyed this was the script and the plot. It just really was a big letdown. I mean, even if you have great sets and great actors, they can only do so much when the writing sucks, okay? So, in that sense, I had a lot of expectations going into this movie, and unfortunately I was disappointed, except for the fact that, yes, it looks really nice. So, what's going on in this movie? Well, first off, of course, it is a prequel to the other Alien franchise movies. Apparently, two archaeologists discover these cave paintings throughout the world which show that Earth has been visited, and showing this large person pointing to the stars, which they take as an invitation to come visit them. And it may have had something to do with, you know, creating life on Earth. Now there's a very scene in the beginning of the movie where you have one of the quote-unquote engineer guys, big, huge, giant, white humanoid guy, apparently sacrifice himself in some sort of ritual sacrifice. The alien ship lands, he comes out by this waterfall, he drinks the black goo, his body disintegrates, and then, you know, falls into the river, and apparently reforms the DNA, supposedly leading us to believe that this was the creation of all life on planet Earth. So, like, this was some sort of intentional act that the engineers, one of them had sacrificed himself to create all life here on Earth. Okay, so, okay, we'll go with that. Then, of course, you know, they jump to the cave paintings that the archaeologists find, and we're going to do an expedition out to find out what's going on, you know, with these alien engineers. The thing that throughout this whole movie, you know, is the black goo substance. It's even worse than the black goo that used to be on the X-Files, because it really is a MacGuffin. It has no consistency of what it apparently does to people and organisms. Just whatever the writers felt like they wanted it to do, it apparently does. Okay, that's sort of tiring, but, you know, I can live with it. We go on. You see the ship is been out in space about 2 years. Everybody's in cryo sleep except for the android character, who, let me say, is probably one of the best acting jobs in the whole movie. David, the android, very good performance. It starts out well, you know, you see that sense of isolation. You see him filling his time by, you know, checking on people in cryo sleep and monitoring their dreams. And then, you know, him watching old movies of Lawrence of Arabia, and, you know, doing his hairstyle like that, and sort of playing basketball and all this other type of stuff to occupy his time. The one thing that two important things that strike me, first of all, is that apparently they've been in space for 2 years. although apparently this is a sublight ship and there's no planets within 2 years sublight distance that would fit this description. Also, I found out by checking with some others that the planet they land on isn't the planet from Aliens, which makes this movie even more confusing because apparently what happened on multiple planets, which it doesn't, you know, answer that whole question about, you know, the alien ship that they found in Aliens. And this is another problem with this movie. This movie was supposed to be the prequel that, you know, helped fill in all the backstory of what happened, you know, for the Alien franchises. And I tell you, this movie raises a lot of questions that it just doesn't answer. Now, I know they're going to supposedly make a sequel, Prometheus, but I still don't see how much more of these could be answered as far as the questions, because they raise a whole lot of questions, but they don't answer them. And then the movie tries to be all deep and raise these big philosophical issues about creation and God and, you know, what if, since there's no God because these engineer aliens created us, well, but who created them? And, you know, then of course you got the android, and why have you come out here to speak to the creator? They try to do all these weighty issues, but they don't go anywhere with it. And that was so frustrating in the movie. The movie could have been so much more sort of deep philosophical exploration of these, you know, deep topics that are raised in the movie, but then they just totally, you know, brush them off and ignore them and try to go with the action sequences, you know, and it's almost, they tried to capture Alien, and they ended up with a poor imitation of Aliens with the action, unnecessary action shots that they don't need, and, you know, people dying all over the place that really didn't need to die, which gets me to my second biggest flaw in this whole movie, is that these people were colossally stupid. I know that, you know, it's sci-fi horror, and for horror element, for, you know, a lot of the people that die in horror movies, they have to do a lot of stupid stuff for the monster to get them. But I mean, these guys are really dense. These are supposed to be, you know, unlike the Alien movie, where they were just a bunch of basically space truckers, you know, just hauling cargo, dealing with the unknown. These are supposed to be like top scientists and archaeologists, you know, who are out there, and, you know, safety protocols out the window, you know, scientific protocols about, you know, studying stuff in situ and, you know, testing. I mean, obviously, really, if they did it really, really realistic, it'd be a really long and boring movie because, you know, they'd take 2 weeks examining the outside before they went in the building. Whereas here, they just rush in the building, and then, you know, when they find out there's breathable air inside, they all take off their helmets without checking to see if there's any, like, biological contaminants, because they're real doofuses. And then you have the geologist and the biologist. The geologist, who's also their cartographer, gets lost. Even though he's got high-tech tracking gear, he still gets lost in the alien ship. You have the biologist that they brought along, who encounters an unknown alien species, and oh, look, I'm going to reach up and just touch this unknown alien species that is clearly exhibiting some sort of defensive attack posture, you know, the little snake alien that you saw in the movie. Oh, and just, you know, let it attack me. I mean, come on. I mean, really, get the heck out of Dodge, you know. We've got aliens you can't see. And then there was a whole element of the movie that I thought, that I know, of course, they're trying to go for sci-fi horror, but there was a lot of unnecessary gross out factor here in the movie, which I thought was unnecessary and, you know, just for the most grossest effects. Anyway, they get to the planet, they rush in, they're examining the place, they find this big giant head with these containers of the black goo, and then they find all these dead aliens, and you know, a whole lot of unnecessary stuff goes through. And really, oh gosh, I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole story here in this review. I just wanted to say that they just take no precautions and just throw caution to the wind and do a bunch of stupid stuff. And so you can see why they get killed, which of course most of them do get killed. And then, you know, there's the whole thing about the senior whaling guy who's there in the end. And of course they end up finding one of the engineer aliens in storage in a cryo tube, which also made me wonder, why do the aliens have cryo tubes when apparently from the last scene it appears that their ships have faster than light travel? And I'm thinking, if you have faster than light travel, you don't need a cryogenic storage tube unless it's some like emergency lifeboat thing. And so maybe we could go with that, but that's never really explained either. The other thing is they find out that apparently, for some reason, the engineer guys were planning on destroying Earth, and that the ships that they found on this planet were filled with these black goo canisters. These were like bioweapon bombs that they were going to bomb the Earth and destroy all the life on the Earth that they had apparently for some reason created. Yes, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and also it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that they would, before that, contact the primitive Earth people and point them in the direction of their secret military base where they've got the bombs, if they're planning on destroying us. And finally, after all kinds of stuff happens and lots of people die and there's a whole bunch of silliness ensues, you find out the one survivor and the robot is like, hey, there's more ships. You know, we could go back to Earth. Well, I don't want to go back to Earth. I want to go where the engineers came from. And so she gets, apparently they get in another ship and fly back toward the planet where, or planets where the engineer aliens are from, to find out why they wanted to destroy us. Which of course is probably crazy, because probably as soon as they get in orbit of the planet, the engineers will blow them to bits when they don't use the right hailing system. But the other thing that I thought of, wait a minute, there's more than one alien ship on this planet? Why isn't all of humanity dead? Because certainly the tragedy that befell the one ship where apparently the black goo had infected some of them, and, you know, horrible monsters ensued and most of them died except for the one engineer guy that made it to the cryo tube. Okay, that's believable. But the fact that, what, there's several other alien ships on this planet too, that was their base, and they didn't survive either? You know, not one of the alien ships survived to come back and bombard Earth with the goo and destroy us all? I just, you know, I'm trying to suspend disbelief, but not even I can suspend disbelief that much. That just makes no sense. So here we are, Prometheus. It's a beautiful movie with great scenery, great special effects, lots of potential, raise a whole bunch of philosophical questions that they just discard. Acting, some of it's real good, some of it's meh, but the script is awful, the characters do stupid stuff that doesn't make any sense, they pose questions that don't get answered, the aliens and the people take actions that make no logical sense. It was just a big mess. And I think if they do a sequel, it's not going to answer any more of the questions, probably, and unfortunately will probably be just as bad. So anyway, you know, if you want to watch it for the spectacle, watch it for the laughs, go ahead and rent Prometheus. But if you're looking for answers to what's going on in the Alien franchise, I'm sorry, you will be sorely disappointed. This is Vance Sheeran, Eversheer, signing off from another movie review. Have a great evening, folks.